That day when Michael passed, the first person that arrived was his mother. The children were there because they were brought by security. We had to tell them the news. The kids were down in a room, a side room, having pizza. Before we went there, I asked UCLA, bring me your team of psychologists, children psychologists, because we have to get support here. We have to help the kids. This is not going to be good news. They did supply that assistance. And then I went with Frank DeLeo, Michael's manager, and the psychologists were also there, standing outside. And we broke the news to the children who were having pizza. They did cry. They did cry. They stopped eating their pizza. They cried. We embraced them, gave them support. And then there's something about kids and their resilience. They recomposed. They went back eating pizza. And Paris asked to see her mother, her grandmother. Mrs. Jackson was supposedly in a different room down the hall. And that's when we went to see Mrs. Jackson. We asked Mrs. Jackson, we told her, we gave her the news that Michael had passed. I did this together with the emergency room physician. We asked her if she wanted to see Michael. She said no. We repeated the question a couple of times. She did not want to see him. And I guess I respected that because maybe in her mind she wanted to remember him alive. Paris, on the other hand, when she came to see the grandmother, I'm pretty sure in her heart, she was looking for an embrace, an arm, some comfort from her grandmother. But she didn't. She did not touch the child. She did not even keep her close. Just no warmth at all. And during that day, lots of the other Jacksons trekked in. The brother, Jermaine, and cousins, Latoya came. She was there early also. And none of them, as I observed, embraced any of the children. Walking around freely, certainly maybe lost in their own zones. I was concerned. I wondered, my goodness, what would happen to these children from now and tonight? Where would they sleep? When this day is over, where would they go? I stayed and I worked with the family. I worked with the hospital. I worked with Randy Phillips and the lawyers who asked me to look at the last statement that Jermaine Jackson was going to announce on the press that Michael had passed and was asking for respect from the fans. I looked at it and changed a few items in the statement as to Michael passing. And they reviewed it. It was satisfactory. He made the statement. But the most thing that he asked me, he was sitting there, and I just thought he would ask me more questions. But he just talked about, he liked my accent and where I was from. It was just odd, very superficial. This has been a monumental catastrophe, not just for me, but for my entire family, my children, my fiance, everybody. It's been a disaster, to say the least. Okay? But what I can tell you is this. I would survive. It takes time. At this time, I still do a lot of voluntary work in medicine. I take the charts of many patients from around the world who have major issues cardiovascular-wise. I review the chart to make sure they get the right things done. I take them to specialists, to health centers around the country. I travel with them. Sometimes I go from state to state. They may fly me to a state. I do not charge for my services. But I go to them, I go to the hospitals, and once we have decided that the patient probably requires open heart surgery, so like in many cases, it seems as though there's almost like a standard price when you don't have insurance, which they offer about $150,000 to $170,000 for an operation. And I'm able to reduce that to about $30,000, $31,000 for 8 days stay, all services, including diagnostics and professional help. So it becomes manageable for these patients. So I do that.